तन्न प्रद्योत्यध्यात्मा ज्ञानं तत्त्वार्थदर्शनम् येनाञ्जसा तरिष्यामो दुष्टरं भवसागरम्. So Narad Muni has come to visit the Pracetas, and Pracetas are asking him, Dear Master, kindly enlighten us in transcendental knowledge, which may act as a torchlight by which we may cross the dark nations of material existence. So they are saying that, we heard the prayers of Lord Shiva, and we also got the audience of Vishnu, but we got carried away. So can you please give us more instructions by which we can become free from this material existence, from the cycle of birth and death? So I think we read this yesterday, but we'll read this one purport. The Prachetas requested Narada to enlighten them in transcendental knowledge. Generally, when a common man meets a saintly person, yeah, we read this, he wishes to get some material benediction. However, the Prachetas were not interested in material benefit, for they had enjoyed all this sufficiently, nor did they want the fulfillment of their material desires. They were simply interested in crossing the ocean of nations. Everyone should be interested in getting out of this material clutches. So in Kali Yuga, everybody is not interested in getting out of the cycle of birth and death. But they are interested in so many things of this world. So we are all interested in so many things of this world. But the real interest should be how to break the cycle of birth and death and go back home, back to Godhead, which can be only done by Krishna Bhakti. There is no other way. You can go back home, back to Godhead by awakening love for Krishna. So that is why the devotee goes and preaches everywhere. We didn't have also this, this aim. But now we have this, we know the goal of life. How? Because the association of devotees. We got Prabhupada's book, or some devotee came and preached to us like that. So everyone should approach a saintly person in order to get enlightened in this connection. One should not bother a saintly person to get blessings for material enjoyment. Generally, householders receive saintly persons to get their blessings. But the real aim is to become happy in the material world. So we do Satyanarayan Puja. So many pujas they do also. And yagnas. But the goal is how to satisfy my material desires. Which at least in one way is good because you accept a higher authority. But it is not the ideal. So asking such material benedictions is not recommended in the Shastras. But the Shastras, because they cater to all kinds of people, there is provision for those who want to satisfy their material desires. Right? There is so many Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. So different demigod worships are recommended. Because not everybody can accept this goal of life. So to slowly bring them to the higher platform, there is different kinds of, Okay, so any comments on that verse? I think we read this yesterday, so we're going to read the next verse. Text 8. Maitreya Uvacha Iti Pracetasam Prishto Bhagavan Narado Munihi Bhagavatyauttama Shloka Avishtam Bravin Nripan. So, being asked by Narad Muni on how to break this cycle of birth and death, how to get out of this material entanglement, Narad Muni is replying now. And he's addressed here as Bhagavan. We say, Bhagavan Narado Munihi. So is Narad Muni Bhagavan? Well, Narad Muni is not Bhagavan, but we'll see what Prabhupada says in the purport. The great sage Maitreya continued. So the conversation is going on between Vidur and Maitreya. So many things they have discussed. Vidura is on a pilgrimage and he has met Maitreya. So, my dear Vidura, being thus petitioned by the Pracetas, the supreme devotee Narada, who is always absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, began to reply. So he started saying, replying to their query. The query was, what was the query? Please give us some knowledge, transcendental knowledge, so that we can get out of this. In this verse, Bhagavan Narada indicates that Narada is always absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bhagavan Narada means Narad Muni is always thinking of Krishna. Yesterday we sang the song, right? Narada Muni Bajai Veena Radhika Ramana Name. And seeing him, everybody becomes enthused, and so Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Avishtatma. Narad has no other business than thinking of Krishna, talking of Krishna, and preaching about Krishna. Therefore, he is sometimes called Bhagavan. So, pure devotee is sometimes referred to as Bhagavan because they are always meditating on Krishna, they are always talking about Krishna. Bhagavan means one who possesses all opulences. So, Bhaga means opulence and Van means one who possesses. What is the definition of Bhagavan given by Parashar Muni?
ऐश्वर्यस्य समग्रस्य धीरस्य यशः ज्ञानवैराग्यस्य सनं भगावतंगनं.
Aishwaryasya Samaga. Bhagavan, there are how many? 6 kinds of opulences. And Bhagavan means one who possesses all 6 kinds of opulences in full. Aishwaryasya Samagrasya. Samagrasya means in totality. All the wealth. Viryasya, where all powerful. Yasha, fame. Shriya, beauty. Jnana, wisdom. And also renounced at the same time. Vairagya Yaseva. So, one who possesses all opulences, so that is Bhagavan. And Krishna fits this definition of Bhagavan. So, when a person possesses Bhagavan within his heart, he is also sometimes called Bhagavan. So, because the pure devotee carries the Lord, like they say, you can take devotee out of Vrindavan, but you cannot
Take Vrindavan out of the devotee.
You cannot take Vrindavan out of the devotee. Means Srila Prabhupada left Vrindavan, I mean the Dham, but he came to the West, but he was carrying Vrindavan in his heart. You cannot take Vrindavan out of his heart. So, because the pure devotee carries Krishna in the heart, Prabhupada is saying, he is sometimes called Bhagavan. Because if he carries Krishna in the heart, means all the opulences he possesses also, because he is in the heart. Of course, everybody has Krishna in the heart. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am situated in the hearts of everyone. But the pure devotee is in like direct union with the Paramatma in the heart, and he is guided by the super soul in the heart. The Chaitya Guru in the heart guides such a devotee, and he can also communicate with the Lord in the heart because he is free from all anarthas. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, Sakshat dharitvena samasta shastrer. Sakshat means directly. The pure devotee is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the Shastras are saying, Samasta Shastras. In every Shastra, the spiritual master is accepted directly as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This does not mean that the spiritual master or saintly person like Narada has actually become the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is accepted in this way because he possesses the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart constantly. So he is not God, but because he is always serving God, thinking about God, talking about God. So he is accepted as the directly as non-different from the Lord in that sense. As described here, Prabhupada gave the example that the policeman comes to your house and gives you a warrant, arrest warrant, then you have to honor that, right? Because you cannot say you're not, because he's representing the government. So, as described here, Avishtatma, when one is simply absorbed in thought of Krishna, one is also called Bhagavan. So the whole this Krishna consciousness is to bring us to the point of always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna. So that will not happen so easily. Right? Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 12th chapter, right? What is the verse? That he says that always remember me. In this way you live in me without doubt. Mai niveshasya.
Ananya cheta sadatam smriti nityasha tasaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yogina.
Yeah. He says, yeah, that is the 8th chapter. I was just referring to 12th chapter where Krishna is saying, Mai eva mana adatsva, Mai buddhi. Always think of me and remember me, then you will live in me without a doubt. But then he said, oh, if you can't do that, because that's not possible to always remember Krishna. Then he says, okay, atha chittam, if you can't do this, atha chittam samadhatum, mai shaknosi, mai sthiram, na shaknosi mai sthiram. Abhyasa yogena tato mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. If you can't do this, then steadily, if you can't remember me, then engage in the practice of bhakti yoga. And then slowly you will come to desire me. So our love will awaken. When love awakens, then we will remember more and more Krishna. We'll fall in love with Krishna. The gopis, they cannot forget Krishna. So like that. As described here, Avishtatma, when one is simply absorbed in thought of Krishna, one is called Bhagavan. Bhagavan possesses all opulence. If one possesses Bhagavan within his heart, does he not automatically possess all opulence also? In that sense, a great devotee like Narada, if one possesses Bhagavan within his heart always, does he not automatically possess all opulence also? So, Prabhupada is saying that, yeah, if Krishna is in his heart, if you possess Krishna, then you get all the powers of Krishna also. In that sense, a great devotee like Narada can be called Bhagavan. However, we cannot tolerate when a rascal or impostor is called Bhagavan. One must possess either all opulences or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, who possesses all opulences. So only the pure devotee can be referred to as Bhagavan, not anybody and everybody. So the question is, everybody can become pure devotee. We have to bring Krishna within the heart. Or Krishna is already there in the heart, but there is a nice verse I was remembering in Bhagavatam. Shrinvatam Shraddhaya Nityam Grinatascha Svacheshtitam Kale Nanati Dirghena Bhagavan Vishate Ridhi. That those who hear Srimad Bhagavatam and who take the subject matter very seriously, Shrinvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grinatasva Cheshtitam, they are by their own endeavor, they are taking the subject matter very seriously. Then not after a long time, Kalena Nati Dirghena, not after a long time, Bhagwan Vishate Ridhi, Bhagwan will enter into their heart, manifest in their heart in a short time. So this is even the first, second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Sadyo Ridhi avarudyate atra kritibi shushrubi tatshanat. Sadhya means at once, Ridhi avarudyate, he becomes established. Avarudyate means established in the heart by submissive oral reception. Just by hearing about Krishna, then Krishna will manifest in the heart. And tatshanat, very quickly. Shana means quickly. So we saw so many great devotees who became devotees by hearing. Right? So first is hearing. So Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So what are some of the devotees who heard and became devotees? What are the examples? One is
Prahlad Maharaj,
Prahlad Maharaj. Then
Dhruva Maharaj. I mean, all devotees, I think they have.
Rukmini, we say Prahlad Maharaj, Rukmini, she heard
Parikshit.
about Krishna.
I mean,
Prahlad heard in the
Parikshit.
womb about Krishna. And Shukdev Goswami also, he heard about Krishna, the two verses, you know, about the beauty and the kindness of Krishna, and he became attracted to Krishna. And then he heard the Bhagavatam from his father Vyasadeva. So everything happens by
Even
hearing only.
Parikshit Maharaj also makes his
Parikshit Maharaj also is the, yeah.
make
I mean, he was always a devotee, but he's hearing. But the thing is that all devotees, they have become devotees because they have heard from some other devotee about Krishna.
Correct. So that's very important
but
hearing.
hearing is also it is mentioned that the qualities of the right listeners, what qualities one should develop. It says that one should not hear this Bhagavatam or about Krishna will say it with so much eagerness. It will not much impact on that devotee, right? Like that 4 or 5 qualities mentioned that what kind of speaker should be and hearer should be. Like the hearer says that one should like a chatak bird. Like it's that bird is only taking water from the rain. So one has to be very eager to hear about Krishna's nectarian pastime, and not and they don't listen anything which is not related to Krishna. They reject it. And other quality was given that the hero should be like a swan, like swan has a quality to separate milk from water. So a devotee is who hears, and they always take the essence, right? Don't don't there are so many other things maybe mentioned, but you have to take that essence and implement in their own life. So one should be like develop that quality like a swan. And other one is like a parrot. Like what you hear, you have to repeat that. You have to share this knowledge to like a parrot is repeating the words what they're learning. So in your own voice, in your own understanding, you have to share that knowledge to others. And fourth one is mentioned that I should be like a fish. Like a fish cannot survive without water. So a devotee should comes in that category. So always love the Krishna Katha so much. So he feels that he cannot live without hearing, and without there is no life energy if they don't hear the Krishna Katha. So yeah, these are the qualities one has to develop as a hearer, right?
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, we read about the four kinds of,
Yeah. Jai Shri Bhagavan. Jai Shri Bhagavan.
yeah, four kinds of hearing, and four kinds of those who should not hear like this, right? There is in the, I think it's in the Padma Puran, and you mentioned how we should hear. Okay,
Yes, Prabhu.
so we should hear with attention, with submission, attention, submission, and for the purpose of purification of heart. So, so that's how. Sometimes we can hear for the purpose of academic knowledge, but then it does not go into the heart, and we don't want to apply the knowledge also in our life. So we have to hear with urgency. Sometimes Prabhupada says ardent hearing. Ardent means very, very focused hearing. Because if there is something very urgent, then you hear with very great attention. Like I was saying, that if you are in the air, in the aeroplane, 35,000 feet in the air, and then plane has turbulence, and they're making some announcement, then you are all very attentively hearing, because it is a question of, your survival. So you will hear with very great attention what they are saying, whether you're going to survive, not survive. So like that. So we should hear with rapt attention. Prabhupada says Bhagavatam hearing should be done with rapt attention. But one cannot be rapt in attention unless one is pure in mind. But one cannot be
Pure
pure
in
in.
mind unless he is pure in his activities of eating, sleeping, mating, defending.
So ultimately, it's a whole lifestyle which helps us. But he said somehow or other, if we hear. So at least when we are doing Krishna conscious activities, let us try to give our full attention to it. So whether we are chanting, when we are not doing chanting, then we can think about so many other things we have to take care of in this. But when we are doing our Krishna conscious activities, everything else can wait. It's not going to. So whatever activity we are doing, we don't multitask. Try to do. Of course, after you chant your rounds, then you can chant unlimitedly of your beats. But don't chant your rounds multitasking, right? They say. So we should take out some time exclusively because that will normally our mind wanders anyway, even if we try to chant exclusively. But if we are multitasking, then our mind will go everywhere. So it's difficult to control the mind. And the whole thing is to bring the mind to Krishna. All this we are doing is to come to the point of bringing the mind to Krishna. So we should meditate on Bhagavatam, what Prabhupada's purports, what is being said, and see how it. Okay, so then here. So Narad Muni is a pure devotee, and the pure devotee, they purify. That is there in the what is that? To go to be purified. Ganga purifies when you go and take a bath in Ganga, right? They say. But just the sight of a pure devotee can purify. So sometimes it is said, huh?
Tirthi kurvanti tirthani.
Tirthi
Because
kurvanti.
pure devotees are walking places of pilgrimage.
They are all walking places of pilgrimage. So they are very happy Narad Muni has come. And also there is a song which says, I think it's in that the song. He bar karuna kuru Vaishnava Gosai. That there is a line which says
गंगारा प्रराश होइले पाश्चाते पावन दर्शने पवित्र करोई तुम्हारा गुण.
maybe we can sing this song, let's see. Because it is about the praying to the Vaishnava and the glories of associating with the Vaishnava. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. You want to sing this song? This is by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It is basically about association with the pure devotees.
Yes. हे बारो करुणा करो वैष्णव गोसाई पतित पावन तुमा बिने के हो नाई যাহারা নিকটে গেলে পাপ দূরে যায় এমন দয়াল প্রভু কেবা কোঠা পাই গঙ্গারা পরাশা হইলে পাচাতে পাবন দর্শনে পবিত্র করো तुम्हारा गुण हरि स्थाने अपराधे तारे हरि नाम तुम स्थाने अपराधे नहीं परित्राण तुम्हारा हृदय सदा गोविंद विश्राम गोविंद कहे ना मोरा वैष्णवापरान् प्रतिजन्मे कोरी आशा चरणे राधूली नरोत्तमे कोरो दया अपनार बोली हे बारो करुणा करो वैष्णव गोसाई पतित पावन तुम बिने के हो नाई. Translation. Should I read?
Yeah.
O Vaishnav Goswami, please be merciful to me now. There is no one except you who can purify the fallen souls. Where does anyone find such a merciful personality by whose mere audience all sins go far away? After bathing in the waters of the sacred Ganges many times one becomes purified, but just by the sight of you the fallen souls are purified. This is your great power. The holy name delivers one who has committed an offense to Lord Hari, but if one commits an offense to you, there is no means of deliverance. Your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda. Lord Govinda says, Vaishnavas are in my heart. I desire the dust of your holy feet in every birth I may take. Please consider Narottam yours and be kind upon him.
Yeah.
So, if we commit an offense towards a Vaishnava, Krishna will not forgive us unless the Vaishnava wants to forgive. But Vaishnava is also very kind and they don't take an offense.
So in their heart, this is also why Narad Muni is called Bhagwan. Tumara Hridaya Sada Govinda Vishram. So Krishna is taking, is manifest in their heart. Okay, so that's why also Narad Muni is called Bhagwan, because he's carrying the Lord in the heart. Of course, everybody carries the Lord in the heart, but the pure devotee, he has realized the presence of the Lord in the heart. So we have Bhanu there on the call.
So is this written by Narottam Das or Bhakti Vinod?
Bhakti, I think it says Narottam, so it must be Narottam Das, right? It's by, let's see,
Hari Prabhuji.
Yes, it's by
Just
Narottam.
Narottam Das Thakur actually. Yeah, not by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Sorry, I said Bhakti Vinod Thakur.
just
Narottam
curious.
Das
Thank you.
Thakur. It's from
Hari.
Prarthana. There are two books by Narottam Das Thakur, which Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Prarthana and
Prem Bhakti Chandrika.
Bhakti Chandrika. So, these are all prayers of Narottam Das Thakur. Okay. Like the prayer we sing in the morning. Shri Guru Charana Padma. That is also by Narottam Das Thakur. Because in that he says, Lokanath Lokera Jivana. Loknath Goswami. So there are so many glories about hearing about Krishna. Everything starts with hearing. So, and more we hear, Prabhupada says hearing, and this for the mad mind, he says in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this is the way we can cure our disease, and the diet. He says for the mad mind, these are the two remedies to hear about Krishna. And
Also, I was thinking that, the pure devotee, it's mentioned that he has all the opulences of the Lord because the pure devotee is surrendered, so Krishna uses him as an instrument to do what Krishna wants to do and he empowers him. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan. Even Arjuna, he was fighting with everybody, he was winning because Krishna was giving him the power. And that's why Prabhupada in the Jalduta prayers, he's saying that let me be a puppet in your hands. You make me do things as you like, make me speak those words so that it can touch the hearts of everyone, relieve their suffering. Krishna is what is empowering the pure devotee because the pure devotee is surrendered and has become an instrument in Krishna's hands, nimitta matra.
yeah, because of full surrender, whatever Krishna dictates in the heart, the pure devotee does. So it's full. Like he's a very faithful servant. Like the dog, right? We see the dog. If you throw a ball and say the dog to bring the ball, the dog will run and bring the ball. So like that. So we have seen many times. And dog sit down, then the dog will sit down. Whatever. So we have to become the dog of Krishna, and that is what it is. To whatever Krishna says, we do it, and without any arguments, and without any hesitation. That's the point. The pure devotee should, yeah, is in that consciousness. So okay, so next verse we'll read. It's time 8:03. Okay. Narada Uvacha Tajjanmatani Karmani Tadayustanmano Vachaha Nrinam Yena Hi Vishvatma Sevyate Haririshvara. The great sage Narada said, when a living entity engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Controller. So how do we express our love? We express our love by doing something for the Lord, which the Lord likes. Like Lord likes us to chant. So we chant. Sometimes people say, why chanting is devotional service? Because the Lord likes us to chant. That's why. If He didn't like us to chant, we would not. Whatever the Lord likes us to do, if we do that, then that is devotional service. When a living entity engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Controller, his birth, all his fruitive activities, his lifespan, his mind, and his words are all factually perfect. So everything becomes perfect by surrendering to the Lord and engaging in devotional service. In this verse, the word Nrinam is very important. There are many other births besides human birth, but Narad Muni is here especially speaking of human birth. Among human beings, there are different types of men. So we have 400,000 species of Chatur Lakhani Manava. So there are different types of men. Well, we are all looking the same, right, with two hands and two legs, but different consciousness. That's what. Of these, those who are advanced in spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness are called Aryans. Among Aryans, one who engages in the devotional service of the Lord is most successful in life. So so many human beings are there, but those who engage in devotional service, they are most successful. The word Nrinam indicates that lower animals are not expected to engage in devotional service of the Lord. Yeah, animals can't engage in devotional service unless Lord Chaitanya empowers them to chant Hare Krishna in Jharkhand forest or something like that. Some special animals are there. They can engage in devotional service. Like in Guruvayur, right, there was an elephant, Keshavan. So he was a devotee. So there are sometimes like that, some animal. But the devotees are so merciful that they give prasadam to the animals, and in that way they are also getting benefit, the remnants of the Lord, and they are getting benefited. Next life, they may go back to Godhead, or they may get human birth in the next life. So, but in perfect human society, everyone should engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Like Shivananda Sen was so kind to that dog who was going with them on the yatra to Jagannath Puri. The boatman said, no, we cannot have any dog in our boat. Shivananda said, no, I'll pay you extra. You please take this. This dog has been with our party. It's coming. So Lord Chaitanya, of course, showed mercy to that puppy Nimai. So, and to all the animals in the Jharkhand forest. But no, generally, Prabhupada is saying that lower animals cannot expect to engage in devotional service. But in perfect human society, everyone should engage in the devotional service of the Lord. It does not matter whether one is born poor or rich, black or white. So it doesn't matter whether you are poor, rich, everybody can engage in devotional service. Nobody is barred. There may be so many material distinctions for one who takes birth in human society, but everyone should engage in the Lord's devotional service. Krishna is saying, Mami partha vyapashrita yepishu papa yonaya striyo vaishya tatha shudra epi yanti paramgati. So whatever our past background, our karma, whatever it may be, but we can all engage in devotional service of the Lord, and the Lord accepts. At the present moment, civilized nations have given up God consciousness for economic development. Now we are more interested in making money than serving God. Prabhupada is saying like that. Lot of industrialization, so many different things, gadgets are being manufactured, and everybody's thinking how to make more money, how to make more money. They're actually no longer interested in advancing in God consciousness. Formerly, their forefathers were engaged in executing religious principles. So previously, people were more spiritually inclined. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Whether one is Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish or whatever, everyone has some religious institution. Real religion, however, means becoming God conscious. It is particularly mentioned herein that birth is successful if an interest in Krishna consciousness is taken. Activity is successful if it results in serving the Lord. Like it is said that if your renunciation does not lead to knowledge, or knowledge does not lead to, and ultimately does not lead to devotional service, right? That verse is there. Then it is, it should lead like that. If it is not, if you do all your duties but you have no interest in hearing about the Supreme Lord, then it is a waste of time. Also, it's saying like that. Activity is successful if it results in serving the Lord. So, ultimate benefactor should be Krishna. Philosophical speculation or mental speculation is successful when engaged in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, our mind, body, words, everything should be engaged in understanding Krishna. The senses are worth possessing when engaged in the service of the Lord. Actually, devotional service means engaging the senses in the service of the Lord. What is the definition of bhakti? To engage all our senses in service of the Lord.
सर्वोपाधिभूतम्
Tatparat
तत्परत्वेन
Rishikena.
सेवनं भक्तिरुच्यते.
At the present moment, our senses are not purified. So we have a lot of contamination. Therefore, our senses are engaged in the service of society, friendship, love, politics, sociology, and so on. So many different things we are serving, not serving God. However, when the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, one attains bhakti or devotional service. In the next verse, these matters will be more clearly explained. So we can serve our society, everything, by giving them Krishna. So that is also. Manav Seva is Madhav Seva, mostly people say. That if you serve humans, then you will serve Madhav. Which is true, but you give Manav Madhav. So you give them Prabhupada's books. Then that is real Seva. When one great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Lord, he said that all his desires were fulfilled. He said, today everything is auspicious. Today my birthplace and neighborhood are completely glorified. Today my senses, from my eyes down to my toes, are fortunate. Today my life is successful because I've been able to see the lotus feet that are worshipped by the goddess of fortune. I don't know which devotee is talking about, but today everything is auspicious. He saw the Lord, and even Dhruva Maharaj, he said, yes. So everybody wants to see the Lord and engage in His service. Even in Damodara Ashtakam, He is saying so many times, may this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. So, but seeing the Lord is not everything, right? Because Duryodhana was also seeing the Lord. But it is about, service to the Lord. So, Don't try to see the Lord. Act in a way that the Lord will want to see you. You say like, so do something for Krishna, that Krishna will be very pleased with you. Do service. Even nobody sees, Krishna is seeing everything, right? So that is another thing. Even we think like nobody is saying right now, I can do whatever I want, nobody is seeing, but Krishna is seeing everything at all times. He is one of the witnesses out of the 13 witnesses, right? He's the main witness, Paramatma. So there's a CCTV camera on us, and Krishna is watching everything. Not only what we are doing, our actions, but also internally what we are thinking. He also knows that, what we are thinking inside. Like in Mahaprakash Lila, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not give mercy to Sachi Mata because she was internally thinking. She did not offend Advaita Acharya by words or anything like that, but internally she was thinking, this Advaita Acharya is splitting our family. My elder son, Vishwarup, took sannyas and now he is also influencing Nimai. So, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew the thought. Even Vasudev Leper, right? He was thinking about meeting Lord Chaitanya. He went to meet Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya had already left. In his heart, he was thinking, "Oh my, so bad. I missed the opportunity to see Lord Chaitanya." And Lord Chaitanya came back. And then also, who else like that? Lord Chaitanya knew the heart of somebody.
Chota Haridas also,
Chota
right?
Haridas, yes. Then
So the milk drinking Brahman.
the milk drinking brahmachari also.
Vasudev, you said that, right?
Yeah, the milk drinking brahmachari also. He was thinking in his mind, oh, I was so fortunate that I got to see the dance of Lord Chaitanya.
Also, Sanatan Goswami, he wanted to commit suicide. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, what are you thinking?
So Murari Gupta also.
Yeah.
So he had hidden a dagger in his house. So like that, Lord Chaitanya knows everything. And Lord Nityananda also, he knew when those thieves came, he knew those thieves were coming to steal. And he, first night what happened? The whole night was dark and they slept. The second night they saw guards, big guards with weapons guarding. And Nityananda Prabhu was sleeping inside the house. So he knows. So the Lord knows everything about us. So we cannot fool the Lord. So Krishna knows if we are wanting to be sincere in our heart, He knows. So so we should also think like that, that Krishna knows, one who knows everything. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse like that. You should meditate on the Lord as one who knows everything. So,
Yeah, I had a comment on the previous purport last verse we were reading, right? Today, everything is auspicious because I'm getting the opportunity to see you. There's one verse, right, that says that a cloudy day is not inauspicious, but the day devoid of discussing Krishna Katha is actually inauspicious. So, any day, any moment, if we are not thinking of Krishna, then that is inauspicious.
yes. How does that verse start? Megachanam Nandurdinam. Megachanam Nandurdinam. Durdinam. That day is not Karna Piyusha Varjitam. When the ear is deprived of the nectar of Krishna Katha, that day is bad. When we didn't hear about Krishna, when we didn't chant Krishna's name. Not that day when there is so many clouds in the sky and there is no sun. Of course, we say it's a bad day, it's a cloud, but even on that day, if you chant Hare Krishna and you discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, then that day is good. So that's what they're saying like that. So somehow or other, we may not have interest and we may not have that much taste. So we do regulated bhakti. Regulated means every day by discipline, we do because it is good for me, even though it is not, I don't have that much taste, but I do it somehow. Okay, so then the taste will come. From Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti will come Bhava Bhakti, right? And then will come Prema Bhakti. Okay, so that's why it's difficult because we don't have taste. And okay, so the next verse, what's the time? 8:18. We'll continue for some time. Kim janmabhistribhirveha shaukra savitra yagnikai karmabhirvatrai proktai pumsopi vibud ayusha. So there are different kinds of human beings. A civilized human being has three kinds of births. Three births. The first birth is by a pure father and mother. So a good birth means where all the sanskaras are followed and like that. So that is a good birth. Garbhadan sanskar. The first birth is by a pure father and mother because they're purified. And this birth is called birth by semen. The next birth takes place when one is initiated by the spiritual master. And this birth is called Savitra. The third birth, called Yagnika, takes place when one is given the opportunity to worship Lord Vishnu. Despite the opportunities for attaining such births, even if one gets the lifespan of a demigod, if one does not actually engage in the service of the Lord, everything is useless. Similarly, one's activities may be mundane or spiritual, but they are useless if they are not meant for satisfying the Lord. So whatever you may be doing, it is useless activity if it is not awakening your Krishna consciousness. It is not bringing you closer to Krishna. Rather, if it is taking away from Krishna, then it's even bad. So, and any activity, or like in this world, all the so-called activities are bad. The so-called good activities are also bad because they are not bringing you closer to Krishna. It's bad. Dvaite bhadra bhadra gyan sab manodharam. Ei bhalo ei man sab bhram. The so-called pious activities are also bad because it is not by pious activities you can't come to Krishna. So janma koti sukritir na labhyate, right? It is said that. So sometimes people, yeah, you are charitable, you are helping the poor, you do opening hospitals, but that is different from devotional activity. So we can't equate. Gokoti danam grahane khagasya prayag gangotaka kalpavashaha.
Yagnayitam meru suvarnadanam Govinda kirterna satamshe.
We can't compare this bhakti with any pious activity. It is an offense also to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious, what is that? To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities mentioned in the
Offered in the Veda
Vedas as karma kanda.
karma.
If you think like chanting Hare Krishna is equivalent to like this, no, it is a different activity. It's a spiritual activity. It cannot be. So, and of course, the consciousness in which we do. Yeah.
Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati
Jati
Shastra
Shastra.
Aprana Seva Dehasya Mandanam Lokaranjanam. So, birth in a high family, Jati Shastra, knowledge of scriptures, Japa and Tapa. If it is devoid of bhakti, then it's all decorations on the dead body. It's all useless. Decorating the dead body.
So, if you decorate a dead body, it may look very nice, but it's dead body, so useless. All the decorations are also useless because the soul is left. Then what you have to burn it. Next thing is to burn it. So for the time being, it looks good, but ultimately you are in the cycle of birth and death. So it will be all finished. So high position and all these things. So okay, so we'll read this purport and then we stop. It's a big purport. The word Shaukra Janma means taking birth by seminal discharge. Animals can take their birth in this way too. So they also reproduce. Mammals, they reproduce. Animals also, dogs give birth to their young ones, right? Like how human beings give birth. However, a human being can be reformed from the Shokra Janma as recommended in the Vedic civilization. Before the birth takes place, or before the father and mother unite, there is a ceremony called Garbhadhan Sanskar, which must be adopted. And that means to chant 50 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Prabhupada said like that. This Garbhadhan Sanskar is especially recommended for higher caste, especially the Brahmana caste. It is said in the Shastras that if Garbhadhan Sanskar is not practiced among the higher caste, the entire family becomes Shudra. So that's why in Kali Yuga nobody practices Garbhadhan Sanskar. So it is, everybody is born Shudra. Kalo Shudra Sambhava. It is also stated in that in this age of Kali, everyone is Shudra due to the absence of Garbhadhan Sanskar. So this is the Vedic system. According to Pancharatrika system, however, even though everyone is a Shudra due to the absence of Garbhadhan Sanskar, if a person has but a little tendency to become Krishna conscious, he should be given the chance to elevate himself to the transcendental platform of devotional service. So even though Garbhadhan Sanskar is not performed, somehow if the person has some tendency, then Prabhupada fanned the spark, fanned the spark, little tendency. He should be given chance to engage in devotional service. Our Krishna consciousness movement adopts the Pancharatrika Vidhi as advised by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who says, Yatha Kanchanatam Yati Kamsyam Kansyam Rasa Vidhanatah Tatha Diksha Vidhanena Dvijatvam Jayate Nrinam. As bell metal, when mixed with mercury, is transformed into gold. A person, even though not golden pure, can be transformed into a Brahmana or Dvija simply by the initiation process. Hari Bhakti Vilas. Thus, if one is initiated by a proper person, he can be accepted as twice born immediately. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we therefore offer the students his first initiation and allow him to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra regularly and following the regulative principles, one becomes qualified to be initiated as a Brahmana, because unless one is a qualified Brahmana, he cannot be allowed to worship Lord Vishnu. This is called Yagnik Janma. In our Krishna consciousness society, unless one is twice initiated, first by chanting Hare Krishna and second by Gayatri Mantra, he is not allowed to enter the kitchen or deity room to execute duties. So, ideally, that is how it is. However, when one is elevated to the platform on which he can worship the deity, his previous birth does not matter. Chandalopi Dvija Shreshto Hari Bhakti Parayana Hari Bhakti Vihinascha Dvijopi Swapacha Dhamaha. Even if one is born in the family of a Chandal, if one engages in devotional service of the Lord, he becomes the best of Brahmanas. But even a Brahmana who is devoid of devotional service is on the level of the lowest dog eater. If a person is advanced in devotional service, it does not matter whether he was born in a Chandal family. He becomes purified. As Sri Prahlad Maharaj said, Viprad Vishad Guna Yutad Aravinda Nabha Padaravinda Vimukhat Supacham Varishtham. Even if one is a Brahmana and is qualified with all Brahminical qualifications, he is considered degraded. So he is a Brahmana, but he is not worshipping Krishna. Then he is considered to be degraded if he is averse to worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are so many Brahmanas who do so much, karma kanda activities and so many things, but they are not worshipping Krishna. But if a person is attached to the service of the Lord, he becomes glorified, even if he is born in a Chandal family. Like Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was born in Muslim family, but we say he is the Namacharya. And Advaita Acharya recognized this about Haridas Thakur. And everybody was objecting. Haridas Thakur, nobody liked Haridas Thakur. Like the devotees liked, of course, but the Smarta Brahmanas did not like, and the Muslims also did not like. Because they thought he is Muslim and he's chanting Hindu gods' names. And the Smarta Brahmanas were thinking he is becoming so popular. And what about our, what will happen to us? So they went and complained to the Qazi about him. that he's chanting and propagating this. Nowhere in the scriptures this loud chanting is mentioned. So then they caught him and they said, "Stop chanting." And he said, "No, no, I will not stop chanting. Chanting is like what? Breathing for me. How can you tell me to stop breathing? It is my life." And then he said, what did he say? Even if you,
खंड खंड देहाय यदि प्राण तबुआमि वदने ना छाड़े हरि नाम. You can cut me into pieces. I will not stop chanting the holy name.
so look at his determination to chant the holy name. In our life, little bit thing happens and we stop. The main thing, the first thing that gets affected is our chanting. We say, "Oh no, I cannot chant because this is there." And here he is threatened with his life. And he said, "Oh, you can cut my body to pieces." So where there is to be some determination to chant. Even though there is no taste, but let's say if there is no taste, still we should have determination to chant. So like that, at least our 16 rounds. And of course, I'm telling this to myself also. So somehow or other we have to chant. Whether we like it, we don't like it, whatever, somehow or other, we have to chant. We have to force ourselves to chant. Prabhupada says you have to force the mind to think of Krishna. So like that, we have to. If we can't finish our rounds, then we are in a disease condition of life. Prabhupada writes in a purport. So at least 16 rounds we should chant, or whatever rounds we have committed, 4 rounds or whatever. Indeed, such a Chandal cannot deliver not only himself but all his family predecessors. Without devotional service, even a proud Brahmana cannot deliver himself. And what to speak of his family. So you may be very expert in Shastra and everything, but if you have no love for the Supreme Lord, then it is that such a person cannot become Guru. Satkarma Nipuno Vipro Mantra Tantra Visharada Avaishnava Guru Nasyad Swapacho Vaishnava Guru. That verse is also there. Without devotional service, even a proud Brahmana cannot deliver himself, what to speak of. In many instances in the Shastras, it is seen that even a Brahmana has become a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Malecha, or non-Brahmana. And there are many instances of ones being born a Kshatriya or Vaishya, or even lower, and in the 18th year, attaining elevation to the Brahminical platform by the process of initiation. Therefore, Narad Muni says, Yasya yal lakshanam proktam pumso varna bhivya vyanjakam yad anyatrapi drishyeta tattaneva vinirdishet. It is not a fact that because one is born in a Brahman family, he is automatically a Brahmana. Prabhupada says, like, you cannot call yourself doctor because your parents are doctors. He has a better chance to become a Brahmana, but unless he meets all the Brahminical qualifications, he cannot be accepted as such. So, Chatur Varnam Mayashishtam Guna Karma Vibhakasha. We accept everything based on qualities and activities. On the other hand, if the Brahminical qualifications are found in the person of a Shudra, he should immediately be accepted as a Brahmana. To substantiate this, there are many quotations from Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Bharadwaj, Samhita, and Pancharatra, as well as many other scriptures. As far as the duration of life of demigods concerning Lord Brahma, it is said, we'll finish with this, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Vidu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Vido Janaha. So 1,000 yugas make one day of Brahma, and Ratri is also Yuga Sahasrantam. His light is also 1,000 yugas. This is the verse in Bhagavad Gita. The duration of one day of Brahma is 1,000 times greater than the 4 yugas, aggregating to 4,320,000 years. This is one Divya Yuga, 4 cycles, multiplied by 1,000. Similarly, Brahma's one night. Brahma lives for 100 years of such days and nights. The word Vibhuda Ayusha indicates that even if one gets a long lifespan, his lifespan is useless if he is not a devotee. A living entity is the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, and unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, his lifespan, good birth, glorious activities, and everything else are null and void. So devotional service is very easy also in this age of Kali. We have to chant Hare Krishna, how easier it can be. And this is the best devotional service, right? Of all the, what is that verse? Tar Madhya Sarvashresh Nam Sankirtan.
Niraprati Malay Paya Prem Dhan.
So we have to just sit down and chant Hare Krishna. And then, of course, we have to engage in practical devotional service for the propagation of Krishna consciousness. We want to give. So, if 50% we should chant Hare Krishna and 50% we should make others chant Hare Krishna. That's our service, to make others chant Hare Krishna. So, and of course, there are other services in the temple for the deity, which is called Pancharatrika Vidhi. So that also, so you engage other people in service of the Lord, and you yourself engage in the service of the Lord in the temple. And that's the goal of this Krishna consciousness movement. So, okay. So we have to become very serious about our spiritual life also. We are telling this to myself because our time is short now. And we have got this human form of life is coming to an end very soon. And we have a lot of anarthas in our heart, a long way to go. And so we have to accelerate devotional service. Means we have to see that, yeah, before this life ends, I want to become Krishna conscious very nicely. So I will not do anything which will distract me from this Krishna consciousness. I will not make any choices, anything. Very rare human form of life I have got. After going through so many species of life and struggling, we see so many animals die on the road. So many animals are killed in the jungle. Like hunting is there, and then one animal eats another animal, and all these things. And so much struggle we have gone through. So we have to remember this. Yeah. And now Krishna has given me an opportunity, by his very kind mercy, got the opportunity. So now I should make best use of this opportunity and do my very best and leave the rest. Of course, we can only do our best. That's all. So our best comes in like, whenever we are chanting, we do our best. Whenever we are reading, we do our best. Whenever we are doing another service, we do our best. So all the time doing our best. So, and not wasting time. So many things are there. So in this way, become Krishna conscious. Okay. Anybody like to comment? Stop there.
Yeah, I was remembering Bhaktisiddhanta has a quote. He says, in every birth, one gets a father and mother, but one cannot get instructions for his ultimate benefit. It's very rare to get a human birth, but more rare than getting a human birth is getting the association of devotees. So if one has this opportunity but does not utilize it, and that's what this verse is saying, then I don't know. Huh?
Nridehamadyam sulabham sulabham.
Yeah, he's committing suicide.
Yeah.
Unknown, he's committing suicide. Labdva sudurlabham indamam bahu sambhavanta. That verse also saying, after many, many births, we have attained this rare human form. So, intelligent person should quickly endeavor for this perfection of life before his body dies. And if he's engaged in sense gratification, that's just waste of time. It's available even for hogs and dogs that eat stool. So why are you spending this precious? It's like we say using your iPhone as a door stopper. There's so much more that iPhone can do. Why would you use it as a door stopper? So all these activities of eating, sleeping, mating, defending is just like not there for human form. It's meant for a higher purpose.
Or using sandalwood for cooking.
Yeah,
Sandalwood.
and then trees for cooking. Yes.
That also. So, okay, so, but the only problem is that we have our own conditioning, which is very difficult to get out of. So, and so that's why we have to pray to Krishna. to get out of the conditioning, and our mind is our enemy. If because it is keeping us in this cycle of birth and death, and there is no happiness here. It's only suffering. But mind is convincing something otherwise, right? That there is we'll get some happiness if I adjust my material situation like this and like that. But as soon as you find out you have an incurable disease and things, all hell all breaks loose, right? Everything crumbles, right? Starts crumbling. So it will happen sooner or later, and so like that. So it's not. And when you become old, then you have so many bodily pains and problems and things like that. So the time is now. They say don't procrastinate. So pick up your bead bag and start chanting now. Sometimes we leave it to the end of the day, right? So to chant now. And mind may say, no, other more important things. No, now. So I have to do. Of course, if you have to go to job, and then so that's why we have to do it before our job, so that we don't have that pressure. So we have time. Of course, everything can be devotional service. So it's not like our job can also become devotional service. A lot of you are supporting our temple and giving money and things like that. So that's also devotional service only. But then there is exclusive, like directly the 9 processes of devotional service. And so that we should do also, along with there is exclusive and there is inclusive devotional service. Exclusive means you find time to chant, you find time to read the scriptures, you find time to associate with devotees, you find time to whatever, do service in the temple or whatever. There is exclusive time, and then there is other activities that we do, which is also connected to devotional service, which is also inclusive. So both in this way, a whole life can be a service to the Lord. Okay, so we'll stop here. It's 8:40. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. There was a nice lecture
Thank you, Prabhuji.
on Radhashmi
Hare Krishna,
here
Prabhuji.
by
Thank
Amog
you.
Lila.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
You can post the link, Prabhuji.
You can post the link, Prabhuji. You can
Yeah.
send us the link.
In that he was saying our goal is Radha Dasyam, and we are followers of Manjaris. Gopis are there, but Manjaris are even, they feel what Radharani is feeling. So like that. He was saying, okay, I'll put. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.